Hey, just trying to get my spot. Hey, this is the new channel. Channel switched over the name to the Dread Pirate Homesteader. I changed it off of Raven Tactical. I just thought it was too cliche and kind of cringy-ish. The whole Dread Pirate Homesteader kind of thing, it's just a play on words. It's just a joke, right? I wanted this channel to be fun and entertaining and not to be like so serious about everything. So one of the things I always wanted to do was do a demonstration of how to paint your rifle. One of the things that I would say with painting your rifle would be is part of it's the prep work on it here. So for instance, using a little bit of painter's tape here. Some of this you can do it better than others. You can use painter's tape, and on the biggest thing with scopes is, especially on where you have all your markings, you want to make sure that's covered up. Cover up your end caps, kind of cover up where your trigger system would go. Be aware of things inside the magazine well. I taped off this muzzle brake just because it was a little easier to. And again, things like flashlights and lenses, you want to make sure that you cover it up. I'm leaving this on here as an example of, you want to take your sling off so that you don't have to worry about it. So for that, right? So taking your sling off, you can go through, degrease the whole rifle if you're heavy on grease. Some things to note would be, watching your ejection port, making sure that doesn't get a whole lot of paint inside of it, and stuff like that. This is a new method of hanging it this way. I'm not entirely sure if I like it yet. I wanted to kind of just do a straight vertical, but we'll see. If the lighting sucks, I do apologize. And a couple things too. As you're doing it, you want to do applications across, kind of like in like a pattern, like right here. So most of your patterns are going to be in a V shape. So the further out, the bigger the V. The closer up, the closer the V, or smaller the V. Too close, it's going to run. So you want to kind of just do light coats, get your coverage, and you want to go past the objective. You want to go past the thing before you stop. So back from the break here. So the next coat you're going to put on is kind of your different camouflage patterns, right? I prefer to freehand it versus making stencils. Stencils aren't terrible. I think Midway sells some really decent ones. But make sure before you start, you get kind of your pattern spray out so that you don't have a glob hit it initially right away. And this is just going to be kind of very quick. No pattern necessarily is going to be needed. You don't want a pattern. So, it's okay if it's, covering up a lot of the light stuff. If you would ever look at a military, they call it like a scrapbook, or I think it's called scrapbook. It shows like how much paint goes on each truck. So like take for instance a Humvee in like a woodland paint, they'll tell you that in woodland paint it's more brown than black, or more black than brown. I mean, some people think that on a military truck that there is, some pattern that we use. It's not. Most of the time it was freehand done. So the biggest things too is making sure that your optics are good. It's going to leave a little bit of a ring around the optic where you had to tape it off. You could do that. One thing too, and I probably maybe won't do it on this one, if you want to distress it a little bit to break up this pattern, you can use an acid brush and kind of push the paint around. With this one, I'm not going to use it so much. This one was a deep forest green, so we went with a dark, right? I will try to find one. There's one. So you kind of want to mix it up a little bit. And why, right? The reason is why, right? Why rattle can rifles? Well, the difference is your rifles are, you don't want to stand out. You want to be able to blend in a little bit. Does that mean necessarily that you have to? Does that mean everything has to be look the same? No. So this fills in some of that little bit of a lighter spot that you had. One thing you could probably do is attach a tail wire to the end of this, and you'd have a little bit of control. And then just take a look at it. Very, very minimal. And you just want to be conscious of the different parts of your scope. Prep work goes a long way. And basically this can sit, dry out for a little bit. I don't know if the light's necessarily showing it all that well, but I mean, it went from a very solid black rifle and stock configuration to now it's basically even gotten darker in some spots and it's lighter in some spots. It's more, in my opinion, it's more customized to what we need or what we want, right? We want a rifle that is going to fit the needs of your group, your mag, your tribe, right? So customizing it and getting it to this point, one, I think it puts personalization into it, which is great, but it also puts you in the position of you're taking this more seriously. This isn't a safe queen anymore. This is a solid rifle for doing things and doing work. So with that, hopefully that kind of makes sense. Again, the kind of overview, what happened was you put a really light base, you put your light base layer on first, right? So we went with a very khaki tan, put a khaki tan base layer, and that gave us kind of a bright board to kind of work off of as we added the darker layers of brown and an army green. And we went with striping patterns because that at least gives it kind of a makeup. A few things in nature, there are no straight lines in nature. So if you look out into the woods, right, the tree is not perfectly straight. The tree is curved and bent and all this. Your eye is really accustomed to drawing in things that have a straight edge. Like this right here is a straight edge, and like this is a straight edge. Your eye is very accustomed to seeing things out of place. So this is where you want to break things up. So if you see solid black out there, so that's why. If you have any questions, comments, share it.